Good morning, students. I hope you have revised the previous lecture of the chapter Nutrition in Plants. Now let's discuss the rest part of this chapter. We have discussed in previous lecture that photosynthesis takes place in green leaves of plants. But have you ever seen red or brown colored leaves of some plants or patches on their leaves like money plant? Now the question arises, how do they perform the photosynthesis? The leaves, other than green, also have chlorophyll. The large amount of red, brown or other pigments mask the green color, means overlap the green color. Photosynthesis takes place in these leaves also. It means the leaves are not green. These are of red or orange or brown color, but they perform the photosynthesis. For example, croton, coleus, etc. It is quite interesting to know that besides leaves, photosynthesis also takes place in other green parts of a plant, in green stems or in green branches. The desert plants have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. For example, in cactus. Cells in living organisms. Have you seen buildings? Definitely. You have seen that buildings are made up of bricks. Similarly, the bodies of living organisms are made of tiny units called cells. Cells can be seen only under the microscope, means they cannot be seen with the naked eye. Some organisms are made up of only one cell, means they can be visible only under microscope, cannot be seen with the naked eye, while other plants and animals contain many cells of different kinds. Parts of a cell are: number 1, the nucleus. Every cell has a distinct centrally located spherical structure called the nucleus that performs various functions of the cell. Number 2, the cell membrane. Every cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell membrane. Number 3, the cytoplasm. Every cell has a jelly-like structure present in it called the cytoplasm. Cell organelles. These are the membrane bounded structures found within a cell in the cytoplasm. The cell organelles have special functions associated with them. Different cell organelles found in the cell are mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, etc. Details of all these cell organelles you will do in the higher classes. Now we will discuss heterotrophic mode of nutrition, means nutrition in plants that do not contain chlorophyll. There are some plants which do not have chlorophyll, hence they cannot synthesize their food. How do they survive and from where do they derive the nutrition? Like humans and animals, such plants depend on other plants and animals for their food. This type of nutrition can be categorized into 4 categories. Number 1, parasitic mode of nutrition. Number 2, insectivorous mode of nutrition. Number 3, saprotrophic mode of nutrition. Number 4, symbiotic mode of nutrition.
First is parasitic mode of nutrition and parasites. In parasitic mode of nutrition, plants depend on other plants for their nourishment. Such dependent plants are called as parasites, and the ones on which parasites depend are called as hosts. In parasitic association, parasite is always benefited whereas host is always harmed. A parasite plant climbs on the host plant from which it gets all the food. Some examples of parasites are Cuscuta, which is also called as Amarbale, Rafflesia, etc. Cuscuta, also known as Dodar, is a plant that does not have chlorophyll. It sucks food from the host plants through adventitious roots. Cuscuta is therefore a complete parasite. Another example is Rafflesia. It is a parasite of the Tetrastigma plant. It is completely dependent on its host plant for food. It is quite interesting to know that Rafflesia is the largest bloom flower with no visible roots, leaves or stem. It has a very strong and unpleasant odor of decaying flesh.
Next is insectivorous mode of nutrition and insectivorous plants. In insectivorous mode of nutrition, plants depend on insects or small animals for their nutrition. It means those plants consume insects and small animals. Such dependent plants are called as insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants grow in those soils which do not contain sufficient nitrogen mineral. As you know that plants absorb nitrogen in soluble form from the soil for their proper growth. Although these types of plants are green and carry out photosynthesis, yet they trap the insects and absorb the nitrogenous products from their body to fulfill nitrogen deficiency. Some examples of insectivorous plants are pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, sundew, etc. The pitcher plant has a pitcher-shaped structure filled with liquid. It has a flap-like structure on its mouth. The edge of the opening of the pitcher is slippery. The insect that sits on slips and falls into the pitcher, getting trapped inside with the closing of the lid. And insect is digested by the digestive juices secreted in the pitcher. After complete digestion, lid again opens to trap the next insect. Next is saprophytic mode of nutrition and saprotrophs. Mode of nutrition in which plants obtain their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter is called saprophytic mode of nutrition, and those plants are called as saprotrophs. Saprotrophs absorb nutrients from dead and decaying matter. Now the question arises, how does it happen? Actually, the saprotrophs or saprophytes secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter. These juices convert the matter into a solution. Then saprophytes absorb the nutrients from the solution. Examples of saprotrophs are fungi like molds, mushrooms, yeast and some bacteria. Fungi are more commonly found on stale food and pickles which are exposed to hot and humid environment. The most interesting mode of nutrition, symbiotic. In this mode of nutrition, there is a close association between two different organisms of different categories. They live together to share shelter and food with each other. In such type of association, both get benefited. For example, some fungi live in the roots of the trees. These fungi take food from the trees and in return help the trees in absorbing water and nutrients from the soil. Another example is lichens. Sometimes an organism that contains chlorophyll, such as algae, lives in association with fungus. The algae provide food and nutrition to the fungus, while the fungus provide water, minerals and shelter to the algae. Means both are benefited. How nutrients are replenished in the soil. We know that plants continuously take nutrients from the soil in order to synthesize their food. As a result, nutrients in the soil decreases. Nutrients in the soil are replenished by number 1, adding fertilizers and manures which contain plants nutrients and minerals like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. These nutrients need to be added from time to time by the farmer to enrich the soil so that plants can grow and keep healthy in that soil. Growing leguminous crops. Leguminous plants are gram, peas, pulses, etc. The bacterium called rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a soluble form. But rhizobium cannot make its own food. So it lives in the roots of leguminous plants to provide them nitrogen. In return, these plants provide food and shelter to the bacteria. Thus, plants and bacteria have a symbiotic relationship here. So, our chapter is over. Let's take a quick recap. All organisms take food and utilize it to get energy. Green plants synthesize their food themselves by the process of photosynthesis. Plants use carbon dioxide, water, and minerals for the synthesis of food. Chlorophyll and sunlight are the essential requirements for photosynthesis. Plants convert solar energy into chemical energy. Glucose and oxygen are produced in the photosynthesis. Oxygen released in the photosynthesis is utilized by other living organisms for their survival. A few plants and all the animals are dependent on others for their nutrition and are called heterotrophs. Heterotroph plants may be parasites, take food from host and harm them, or saprotrophs derive nutrition from dead and decay matter. Some plants adopt dual mode of nutrition, insectivorous. They are partially autotrophs and partially heterotrophs. Symbiosis is an association of two different organisms of different categories to share shelter and food with each other. Thank you, students. I hope all the concepts are clear and you have enjoyed this chapter.